Hello, everyone. Welcome back to It Had to Be Said with Venus. We're here tonight with myself and Christopher Stolle.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And we've got Keith Zephyr. I can't remember how you like to be introduced.
Zephyr or Zeph, it doesn't really matter.
It's been too long.
Whatever.
That fucking bard.
All summer.
One of my other nicknames.
And guys, we gotta before she jumps into it, we gotta say it. Welcome back, Venus. She's been gone for a couple months because she,
a little bit of a hiatus there.
A little bit of a hiatus because she had to push out another productive member of society. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Venus gave birth to a healthy baby boy.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's a boy. I know
7 pounds.
I know I'm assuming gender, but it's a boy to my knowledge.
You know what? He's got a penis, and like typically people would think that's a boy. Okay, like I've been through this with people, and like even people that are like trans people, transphobic people, homophobic people, all those types of people. And I'm like, you know what? He has a penis. He's a boy. If and when he decides to be anything else, change his gender, decide that he's gay, or be a fucking bumblebee, I'll be supportive of that then. But until now, he was born with a penis. He is a boy. And I will be adjusting if he should ever decide that he's anything else but.
Why did I all of a sudden have the image of the little girl from the Blind Melon commercial, music video, No Rain, the little girl dancing around in tap shoes and a bumblebee outfit? When Venus said, if he decides to be a bumblebee, I was on do-do-do-do. Okay.
You're the only one. I'm sorry, that didn't happen for me.
Yeah, like my kids went through those phases too. Like my son, when he was like 6 years old, wore the Spider-Man mask like consecutively for like 2.5 months. So he was Spider-Man. So, you entertain them and you support them.
Wait, you
like,
grow out of that? They want
to be a bumblebee. He wasn't allowed to wear the mask at school in kindergarten. So it wasn't even my choice that he didn't get to wear it, which, I was all supportive for him being Spider-Man. But the freaking school put their foot down and said, no, we can't have Spider-Man running around our school. So,
wow, that school sucks. Hell,
I know.
I had a friend in high school who wore a full-on gorilla suit to school, and nobody freaking blinked.
No, you got to keep an eye on a gorilla.
They were used to it from him by then, so your mileage may vary.
I was about to say that's New York for you.
Wow.
Will Smith said it best in Men in Black 2 with the whole subway scene where, like nobody would move from the giant worm eating the truck. Oh, yeah, New Yorkers, we've seen everything, blah, blah, blah. Gorilla suit in a school. Yeah. It's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like a typical Tuesday. So, what else have we missed over the summer? So, there's been a lot. So, actually, like when you have kids and stuff, getting into this now, when you have kids and stuff, and it's like, oh, I remember the day you were born and this happened and everything. The day I was born, the number one song on the Canadian and US hits for whatever was actually Black. Yeah, the number one hit was Black Velvet. So, and usually your parents would remember these type of things to tell you and be like, oh, the day you were born, it was a full moon or something weird like that. So I get to tell my little boy that I had July 13th that at the time that he was born, the whole internet was planning a whole raid on Area 51. And that's the highlight of his birth and one of the highlights of the summer.
Yeah. You want to know what the most popular song was the day I was born?
Did you look it up?
I know this because I looked it up when it was a meme on Facebook. And I will never forget the song because it's just hilarious. It's Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Nice.
I'm looking it up now, so continue.
So I totally missed out on what was happening with this Area 51 thing. So far, all I know so far is that in September, I don't even know the date. It was just
September
something
20th.
I haven't. September 20th. Okay, so September 20th, we're having the whole internet raid Area 51. We're also having celebrities like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in on this. Keanu Reeves is in on this. And we've got Spider-Man joining.
So, the Area 51 raid meme thing that happened is very near and dear to my heart, because I don't know if any of our listeners are super aware of this, but I happen to be a member of the Air Force Reserves. And so when this Area 51 raid meme whole train got started, the Air Force actually started taking it seriously.
They were bored.
And so I'm not anywhere close to being stationed at Area 51 or whatever, but I still saw some of the residual effects of, like, we got like a minute-long lip service by our commander at our UTA of, listen, guys, don't join groups like this and don't be stupid.
Well, can we just point out the obvious fact for a minute that all the people that wanted to push this whole entire we're going to raid Area 51, they can't beat our numbers, blah, 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 blah. First off, I know the Air Force is kind of like the Boy Scout version of the U.S. Army, but at the same time, they're still trained to shoot, and you guys are targets of opportunity. Second off, can we be truly honest here? The soy boy beta cucks that want to take away guns and refuse to have guns in this country are the ones that are going to, bum rush a military installation, and the Air Force really took them seriously. I mean,
they kind of had to, and really, honestly, the most serious part that the Air Force took it was warning everybody to be careful about the things you do on social media, because it's highly visible and that kind of shit can actually affect security clearances.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But them being on high alert about, like, we're going to get invaded. No, you're not.
The greatest thing that came out of this Area 51 meme is the frickin' briefing, the active duty briefing that some poor ass Air Force lieutenant had to explain to a room full of airmen what a Naruto run was. And he even demonstrated.
Oh, there you go.
What is that?
You're on the spot. Go ahead. What's a Naruto run? Oh, by the way, before you give it, on my birthday, Rolls Royce Car Wash was the #1 song.
Working at the car wash.
Yes, I'm old. Fuck off. Go ahead.
Anyway, so Naruto Run, it's a style of running that is based off of the anime Naruto, and in it, the ninjas of Naruto would run with their arms trailing behind their backs, and not like pumping it to run like you normally would, but just straight out behind them in like a flying V formation. And it became a bit of a meme, because it's just a very strange way of running, and it makes absolutely no goddamn sense unless you look at it from the lens of, they're carrying knives and sharp things, and when you run with sharp things, you don't want to pump your arms because then you're stabbing yourself repeatedly.
But I mean, can we focus for a second here? Like, I really want to know what their plan of attack was. Like, did they just think they would overwhelm numbers like, World War Z climbing walls, or like, an ant colony taking on a worm or something? Like, what did they really hope to accomplish going up against a high-security military compound? Like Area 51 would be, whether it's actually protecting UFO secrets and shit, or if it's just a training facility.
I honestly think that it was just a joke that got out of hand, and that nobody actually intends to go to this. And everybody just joined in the Area 51 raid saying that they were going because it was the cool thing to do, and it was the meme.
Well, look, I'll go a little tinfoil hat society here. I'll go on record stating, yeah, I believe they're hiding some fucking shit in Area 51. That being said, don't throw your fucking life away, people. You're not beating the U.S. military, any branch of the U.S. military, in a fucking fight.
Yeah, what is it? They can't take all of us, but it's like how many drones, jets, whatever are there like that literally can take out everything? Like they've got.
Here's my big thing about the whole Area 51 raid meme that happened, because they first posted the event in like June, July-ish for something that they were planning on doing in September. Congratulations, Bucko. Way to give the U.S. government plenty of time to move everything that they want to hide away from where it being in Area 51. At that point, you could show up at the gate and they'll give you a fucking tour.
Yeah, so I was reading about this guy, this dyslexic guy. I don't know if this is a true story or not, but this dyslexic guy actually got the dates wrong and ended up being the only guy to run across the Nevada desert into Area 51 and get to an empty fucking bunker or whatever. And they felt so bad for him, they just let him go because he got the dates wrong.
Yeah. I could actually see that happening. It's just like, okay, you're the retarded one. Go ahead. Here's a lollipop.
Knowing what I know about Air Force security forces and whatnot, I doubt the validity of that one. I don't think the guy would have gotten off completely scot-free, but like, if it's one guy, I guess I can imagine the security forces truck just rolling up on him and telling him to get on the ground.
Well, apparently they laughed at him and they felt bad, so they're like, "You could just go home. Don't come back."
That's just security forces.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that I can see. They
makes fun of everybody.
They roll up. They make sure he's not armed. Make sure he didn't really see anything that he wasn't supposed to see, and it's like, and then laugh at him because he's got the date wrong. Yeah, no, you're the special one. We understand. Here's a lollipop. Go home. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, he's like one guy. How much of a threat is he, right?
Mm-hmm. To the United States Air Force, almost negligible.
So that means he's not a threat.
my absolute favorite thing to come out of the Area 51 memes was all of the memes in the Air Force groups of people laughing at the people thinking that they could storm Area 51, even if they had 1 million of them. I'm sorry. We have A-10s.
Well, again, I don't mean to sound like I'm belittling the Air Force because for the listeners, I'm ex-Navy, so I mean it's kind of one step up when you think about ground troops. But at the same time, we know how to use firearms. We are trained for guerrilla warfare in every aspect of form, whether it's air, sea, or ground. We may not be the Army or the Marines, but we still know how to fight. Your average civilian who spends most of their time wearing pink pussy hats and screaming because Donald Trump is your president are not winning a fight against anybody who wears a U.S. military uniform. You're not winning a fight against the Salvation Army.
You went to, but I don't think I ever trained for guerrilla warfare.
You know what I mean? We're trained. We're
Throw a
trained
banana and run.
We're trained.
Go Donkey Kong.
We
weren't fighting against no Harambes. What are you talking about?
Hey, Harambe forever. No, but seriously, like you guys,
That's what's at Area 51.
Harambe,
you busted all the way, and it's just Harambe sitting there.
With Shamu talking about how fucked up humans are. No, but seriously, the people who are actually thinking that this is a real thing and not just a joke out of control, as Zephyr said, guys, seriously, you have no chance of beating the Salvation Army, whether off any branch of the U.S. military. Stay home. Keep playing your Call of Duty.
Yeah, but The Rock is going. The Rock and Keanu Reeves are supposed to be there.
And if they actually tried it, they'd be 2 dead celebrities.
There's got to be a large portion of people who are on the going for the Area 51 raid that are just going to watch. Because like you gotta have the assholes that are like, oh, this is gonna be the greatest train wreck ever.
wait! I just had an envisionment of like a Braveheart type scene where you got everybody lined up and everybody's waiting for somebody to do it because everybody's pussying out. Like, we ain't gonna do it unless somebody else does it. And all of a sudden in the back row, all you hear is Leroy Jenkins.
And knowing the way the universe seems to be working these days, that would be the one guy to actually make it, because security forces would just be like, "What?
What the fuck?" Oh, I hope like Keanu Reeves and The Rock like live feed this, because this is going to be spectacular. I'm just an observer. I heard about this and it's like, would you go? It's like, oh no, I'm not going. What if there are fucking aliens there? So the last thing I want to do is meet some like fucking Beetlejuice fucking alien from Andromeda or something. Like, hell no, you guys are all going to be obliterated, because if aliens are actually there, aliens are protecting their new home on Earth, okay? And that must be their new home. And you guys are all going to be seen as a threat, and they're going to squish you like little cockroaches.
Look, like, all jokes aside, the only thing that really concerns me about the whole entire scenario, and I've even made jokes to this effect tonight about it. But what really, concerns me is that some asshole or group of assholes is actually going to show up and attempt it, and they're going to get shot and killed. Now, that's their own fault, but the problem is I see a hellacious backlash by court of public opinion about the U.S. military gunning down innocent people. And that's how it'll be portrayed in the media and, of course, the social networks and everything. It won't be that they were dumbasses trying to infiltrate a top-secret security military compound. No, it'll be innocent people gunned down by U.S. armed forces.
Well, it's not like they're sitting in their homes. They're, like, literally trying to invade a space which is not a public space. Like, trespassing right there. Like, I don't even know what other charges or anything could be brought up against these people, even if they do make it. And here's the funniest thing, is like, oh, like, they can't put us all in jail even. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, dude, they have FEMA camps. They have FEMA camps. How many millions of people are in FEMA camps? Okay, they have all the resources to put you in jail if they don't kill you. They can literally put up a wall around you guys while you guys are running through there and be like, yeah, you guys think you're getting out? Here, drink from the toilets. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong. And it's like, okay, September 20th, please come sooner, because this is going to be so entertaining no matter where you are in the world.
Nah, it's too much build-up. It's just going to be completely disappointing and unsatisfying. No payoff whatsoever.
Almost sounds like it's dating me.
Ooh, self-depreciating humor.
I had to go there.
Zing!
Wow. All right, so yeah, Area 51,
speaking of
bad idea.
Well, so speaking of news in the world, I don't know if you guys have been following Jessica Yaniv, or however you say it, story. But a quick rundown. So Jessica is a transgender woman living in BC in Canada. She's taken her story, her complaints, to the Human Rights Tribunal that she was turned down from women's only waxing places. They refused to wax her balls.
Oh, this chick, yeah.
Yeah, she's only, like, these people are only trained to wax women, so when you have man parts, they can't technically do it because they don't have the training, and if they fuck something up, it's a huge lawsuit, right? So on top of that, Jessica is hosting this 12-year-old topless pool party after she's been, like, caught making a few comments towards women, a few sexualized comments towards children. She's got caught with text messages to young girls, and she's also been quoted saying things like, I want to have sex with a young girl because I think they're tighter.
Okay, can I first off, like, this is a pedophile. This is exactly the problem that people had with transgenders pushing to be able to use the bathrooms to the sex they identify as. People like Jessica are exactly the reason why people had issue with this. Okay, this is what people like myself were talking about. This is a predator pretending to be a transgender. Okay, and quite honestly, when we're on the subject of transgenderism, when you're pushing your narrative on things like a female waxing place, okay, well, first and foremost, I think female waxing is dumb. Like, of course, I like a smooth pussy as much as the next guy, but the idea that you go to a place where a person pours hot wax on your coochie and then rips it the fuck off, yo, razors are $1, okay, and a hell of a lot less painful.
That just sounds painful.
But here's the deal. You're violating the transgender person's right because you won't shave their balls. What about the poor girl's right of not having a fucking cock in her face?
So this story gets even more interesting because so on top of her targeting a few salons or a few women that were waxing, she's also been anti-immigration. She's a complete xenophobe. And she's only been targeting, like, salons that are run by immigrants.
She's purposely trying to push a narrative. That's exactly what it is. Like, whether it's transgenderism, whether it's look at these piece of shit immigrants, or whatever the case may be, she's pushing a narrative. She's trying to tell a story. She's like that one black DA. Out in Washington, the one that was at a supermarket and was pregnant and decided she wanted to use the 10 items or less line when she had like 20 or some odd items, and a guy said something to her, and she turned around and claimed that it was a racist comment, that he was turning around telling her to go back to where she came from and blah, 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 and made a whole entire thing about, like crying over, why would this person do this to me? Turns out the guy, first off, never said it, and second off, the guy was actually an immigrant. He was from Cuba. And,
wow.
Cuba.
Yeah, narrative dead. But I mean, she was pulling a Jussie Smollett, another fucking false race narrative. Same bullshit with this Jessica chick. So different context, but still pushing a narrative.
I have almost no idea about this whole narrative because I'm not really in the news I've been paying attention to. Gaming is kind of my thing, so...
I've been following Jessica. So this story gets even more interesting. And I'm so not out in the LGBTQ community right now, but this one individual, somebody please explain her mentality to me. So on top of this, she goes on some other girl's YouTube channel, and she was a guest on that or something. And this girl's asking her straight up questions like, why are you doing this? Why are you targeting these people? Whatever. And she takes out a taser, which are completely illegal in Canada. She takes out a taser on a live feed on YouTube, and she says, yeah, I use this for protection and stuff. So right after she does that, she gets arrested, and her house gets raided because you're not allowed to have a fucking taser in Canada. And here she is showing it to the world. So after being released from custody and her taser being confiscated, she gets home and she calls the police because while this was happening, someone sent her child porn over Messenger. So they're investigating that now. This girl, I don't think there's a dull moment in this girl's life. Not at all.
Look, I've said it before and I say it again. I have my own personal points of view about the LGBTQ community. Particularly because of the plus that is involved with that community. I don't particularly care so much about transgenderism. I especially don't give a shit about gay or lesbian. If that's what you do, do it. You know what I mean? You have the same rights in this world to be as miserable as a straight person. If that's what you want to do, go do it. But the fact of the matter is that there has been a heavy push towards normalizing pedophilia, number one. And number two, LGBTQ communities, people like Jessica, let's be honest, they're hurting your image. They're not helping your cause.
Well,
If I was
most people in the LGBTQ community do disavow people like this Jessica quite often. Like I remember this whole thing. She brought up the whole pedophiles. They tried to rebrand themselves as minor attracted persons, and everybody I knew in the LGBT community was like, no, sit the fuck down, shut up, and don't associate yourself with us, because we don't want that. Fuck right off. And like there was big pushback from the LGBTQ community against the pedophiles, because like, no, that's not okay.
I've seen a lot of the opposite. Like, you may be talking about personal experience with LGBTQ members, but as a whole, from a lot of the narratives that I've seen, it isn't so much that they're accepting it; they're just not squelling it. If that makes sense.
All the spaces that I am close to and I have seen so far, they put the fucking ban hammer down on the maps.
Well, good. Like, I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope you're right.
They were getting kicked out of groups left, right, and center. Pretty much the only places the pedophiles were able to even get a foothold and pretend like they're part of the LGBTQ community was places like 4chan and 8chan, and really those are just cesspools of dumbassness. So you don't take anything from there seriously at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's where the whole minor attracted person movement got started, was 4chan.
Well, good. I hope I'm wrong, and what I've seen thus far is not the full story. And I'm not trying to say that I've seen the full story. I haven't. I know I haven't. I'm just saying what I have personally witnessed so far is I haven't seen enough of a push away from that narrative.
Honestly, the way I see it as far as the LGBTQ community is, as long as you're not hurting anybody and not doing anything dumb, it doesn't really fucking matter. And how hard is it to not be an asshole?
That's the big thing about the LGBTQ that I can speak from experience, is that I don't give a shit what you do in the privacy of your own home. I don't give a shit who you find happiness with, or as I called it earlier, misery with. Let the gay guys get married. Let the lesbians fucking scissor. Let the transgender do what transgender do. I don't care. But the one thing about the LGBTQ community that drives me up a fucking wall is how they have to shove it down everybody's throats. Look, you really want equality with straight people as far as that's concerned? Then live as straight people do. And that's get up in the morning, go to work, come home, be with your significant other, go to fucking bed, and do the same thing the next day. Shut up. Nobody cares about your lifestyle.
Well, actually going through my news feed earlier,
pretty sure that's all they want.
But yeah, why are they always so vocal about it when they can have that just by simply live your life?
Yeah, so they had youth for LGBTQ. So it's like bringing youth forward to talk about how they feel about being gay, or how they feel about having a gay friend, or stuff like that.
I mean, I was part of the Gay Straight Alliance when I was in high school, so like that's nothing new.
But I'm reading this all, and the way that they put it, I'm like, wow. Like, these people didn't even need like this much push. Like, yeah, it's nice to be recognized. Like, yes, okay, the whole world recognizes you guys. We know you're there. Salute. How you doing? But like what they're doing to teenagers now is like totally like, we need to come out of the dark. It's like, guys, you didn't. Like, my kids will be going to school with you guys one day. Okay, my kids already understand what's going on. They don't need a huge spiel about it. Like, most people are pretty accepting towards kids going through stuff and adults going through stuff. People just kind of really don't care anymore. We got the hint. You guys are here. You exist. It's awesome. You want to go shopping? You want to go for tea? Like, what's up and how you doing? But they've got like this narrative that it's like, well, we're still in the dark. You're not in the dark anymore. Like, there's bigger issues than what you decide to wear every day, or like who you decide to love or how you decide to love yourself. We're past that, I think, a little bit more in society, but it still seems like an issue.
For not being in the dark anymore, there's still an awful lot of assholes that give people shit about being
not as much.
Being not straight, basically.
Not as much. I mean,
there's still an awful lot.
25 years ago, I had a gay friend that was extremely, like, I'm talking about, like, fucking Richard Simmons flamboyantly gay. And you know what people did when he walked down the streets? Nothing. I went to a gay pride parade with this kid, and no issues whatsoever with any of the gay community. Hell, I stood there with him, fucking watching Phyllis Diller and shit. No, let me finish.
Just because there were no issues there doesn't mean there's no issues anywhere.
Again, we're talking about Philadelphia. Trust me, if there was that much issues, it would be front and center in my city. Nobody gave a fuck about what his lifestyle was. If they looked at him in any way, shape, or form, it wasn't because he liked to suck dick. It was because he's walking around with a pink boa and fucking skipping, singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you know, while throwing Skittles in the air. Like, this kid was very flamboyant. But he was also two things. One, nobody bothered him. He was never once approached by somebody saying, "Get out of here, you fucking queer," or something of that nature. Forgive me, I don't mean to throw out the buzzwords, but understand. Two, he was able to live his fucking life out and proud, and most people who knew him loved him, and most people that he knew, he understood, unless they were gay themselves. The line was, "Don't grab my dick. We could be friends, just don't grab my dick."
But why do you need to say that to someone? Like, if you're a guy and you have a girlfriend, or like a girl who's a friend, do you need to tell her, like, "Don't grab my dick"? Like,
no,
it's a certain like logical line that, you know, like, just because a dude's gay or just because a girl's straight does not mean you need a cup holder every time you're in their presence.
Remember, everybody, consent is sexy.
Well, see, that's the point.
Right?
That's the point I'm saying, is that he knew the line. If he knew that his friend was neither gay nor interested in him, he didn't make a sexual advance, which means he was not a threat to anybody. But in turn, anybody who saw him and knew that he was gay, because you couldn't fucking miss it, gave no shits about it because he never was threatening to them.
Basically, I guess my main point I've been trying to make through this whole tangent we've been on so far is, you can't judge any group of people by the assholes that are within that group. Because there's assholes everywhere, and assholes always ruin it for everybody else.
You're absolutely right, and one of the biggest problems with the LGBTQ community right now is the fact that the most vocal people of those groups are the assholes. That's the major problem, is the major ones speaking and pushing out the what's supposed to be helpful for the community is the ones that are, like, you know, treating everybody else like shit, or putting them in these word boxes where it's like, you either accept this or you're transphobic, you either accept this or you're homophobic, or what, really?
We should all follow the Tao of Bill and Ted. Be excellent to each other.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
It's really not that hard. And, like, just this one Jessica chick. She's one disgusting woman, okay? It does not reflect the whole LGBTQ community. Her, on the other hand, is like a predator, disgusting human being. She's a whole different story. Well, she's an individual case on her own.
Well, you just hit the nail directly on the head. She is a predator.
She's one of the assholes.
Yeah, she is a predator. She does not represent the LGBTQ. No, absolutely not. And she deserves to be put on a desert island with no food and no way out. Plain and simple. Just goodbye, no longer contact with society, and let nature take its course.
Well, she wouldn't need a wax there.
I believe we used to call those penal colonies. That's how we got Australia.
Oh, don't lump Australia into what I was meaning with a pedophile.
I'm not. That's not where I was going with that joke. All right, I'm sorry. I don't want to get mistaken for being that asshole. No, that was like a legit thing of like taking people and putting them on a deserted island to it was penal colonies, and that's exactly where we got Australia from, because Australia started as a penal colony.
Yeah, I know.
And then they actually colonized it.
Well, speaking of islands,
Britain was like, "Yo, this place is huge."
Well, speaking of islands and assholes and pedophiles, dun 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 dun.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Oh yeah, here we go.
On to Epstein or Epstein. How do you say it? Epstein?
Epstein, as far as I know.
I don't really think it matters at this point. He
Epstein.
deader than a doornail.
Oh, conspiracy time!
unless they faked his death to give him at least any chance of reaching trial.
So here's the thing, okay? So they have pictures of Epstein up, okay? And they've got like pictures of Epstein dead. And they're comparing like the ear shapes and the nose shapes and like the frames of his face and everything. And it's like, those aren't the two same people. So even like
they're false.
I've seen the pictures of all that in the conspiracy theory. The thing that the pictures don't take into account is your ears and your nose are soft tissue. That can change after you die. That relies on blood flow.
So Bill Clinton going on vacation right after his death. See, that raises some questions like, are you vacationing with the guy? Are you like, coming out with a new plot? What's going on?
Okay,
so as we all know,
how about the
already,
pictures of Clinton?
Epstein is.
How about the pictures of Clinton that are surfacing? Him claiming that he'd never been to the pedophile island or whatever else, and they've got pictures of him on the plane with the Lolita chicks.
They got pictures of everybody. They got pictures of him and Trump. Like this is big. Like a lot of the Hollywood elite and highest echelons of government have been close to this guy. So, like, it's not a good look for anybody.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. But it also goes to show how deep this fucking pedophile ring has always gone.
Like, I'm still not entirely convinced that he actually committed suicide.
Oh, I know he didn't. He's another mark in the Clinton hit list.
Every bit shit. I think Clinton's just another name on a very long list of people who had the means and the motive to off Epstein. But like everything that came out after his apparent suicide just screamed to me of like, somebody assisted with that. That wasn't he decided to off himself. That was some guard was paid to look the other way.
Well, can we break that down a minute? I mean, he was on a 72-hour, or no, it was like a 2-3 week fucking suicide watch.
Oh yeah.
He was on a suicide watch, and as soon as it was lifted, 2 guards randomly work extra long shifts that wind up going to sleep on their shift during the 2 hours that he supposedly, who had a camera on him for those 3 weeks, and then the camera was turned off in his cell, hung himself? Come on.
Oh, so even better is what I'm hearing. Yeah, so even better what I'm hearing is that just a few cells down, there's actually a fired cop who was in a cell who was found with a cell phone and, well, I'm not sure, possibly a gun or something. And I'm like, what? Like, first off, cops don't go to jail.
Oh, yes, they do.
It doesn't matter what, hardly. They don't put cops in jail because...
No. Cops go to jail. A lot, actually.
In fact, 9 times out of 10...
You just don't hear about it all the time.
9 times out of 10, cops that go in usually don't come back out.
That's why they don't like putting them in there.
Wow.
So, I mean...
Cops generally go straight to solitary confinement.
Mm-hmm.
So, a few cells down... A few cells down on solitary confinement with a cell phone. Explain this shit.
You can get anything in American prisons.
I was actually kind of, I guess, saying the "I told you so" when the whole Epstein suicide thing happened, because like when he got pulled in for that and for the whole pedophile suspicion and all that and everything, I was 100% sure that if they put him in Gen Pop, he was going to be dead by the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first off, he's a pedophile. Pedophiles do not last long in prison without protection.
The king pedophile. There
are two things in prison that you do not mess with, and inmates that have done more terrible things than you can imagine will off you quick for it, because there are two things that are sacred. You don't mess with kids, and you don't mess with somebody's mama.
Mm-hmm.
Like gangsters and stuff in like Cuba understand this. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen any prison shows there. They'll actually have like inmates' families come in, and they'll actually have like family days with the kids and like wives and stuff. And it's like, well, aren't you worried about your wife getting hurt? It's like, no, the number one rule is we don't hurt kids and we don't hurt women.
Yep.
That's absolutely true. And
the fastest way to get shanked in prison is to be a pedophile.
Mm-hmm. That's why people like Subway's Jared is in like a federal prison instead of general population. They're protecting his ass. They're protecting his ass because in normal Gen Pop, he would have been dead by now.
Not necessarily protecting, but more ensuring that he fulfills his full sentence.
Yeah, that's what I mean by protecting. They're making sure that he doesn't become less of a burden on society quicker.
He could rot in prison for the rest of his life for all I care. I just don't want him getting offed by somebody, because that's the easy way out.
Yep. Or offed by himself. Like,
that too, but like that. Aside from Suicide Watch, there's very minimal ways you can control that. If somebody is really bound and determined to off themselves, they'll find a way.
Oh, definitely.
They'll use that fucking spoon fork they give you, the spork. Or wait, they got rid of the spork. They just give you a spoon now. You have to eat like fucking Salisbury steak with a spoon.
If you're absolutely bound and determined, you can probably off yourself by beating your head against the floor.
Or the wall, or the side of the bunk. Yeah, everything's
It's pretty rare. Usually, okay, I was in the hospital once. I wasn't feeling well in the emergency, and I remember someone actually doing that, and the cops were there and stuff. And this woman was like clearly intoxicated and like clearly pretty messed up. And she just goes and starts bashing her head on the wall. And the cops and the doctors just stand back and they're like, you know, you're only going to do that so many times before you knock yourself out, and then we'll do what we want with you. They don't even give a shit about that. It's pretty hard to kill yourself. I mean, if there's like cops standing back and doctors and watching this shit go down, it's pretty difficult.
It's super difficult to do it, but it's possible. If you hit your head the right way, you can kill yourself.
Drop head first out of the bunk, out of the top bunk. Break your neck.
That too.
Okay, we're giving people ideas here.
The main thing that gets in the way for most of that stuff is self-preservation. It's the whole reason why you can't really just rip your own ear off. It really only takes like 3 pounds of pressure to do so, but...
Wow, we got dark.
Your self-preservation instinct is what prevents you from doing that.
No, you're absolutely right, but if you're determined for self-harm, then you learn how to override that self-preservation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, part of self-preservation is, actually, I was hearing about this with like a single-celled organism and stuff. Suicide actually is a self-preservation.
Huh?
Suicide is a selfish end of your own pain, but the beginning of pain for others who cared.
How? I don't get it. I don't see how suicide is self-preservation.
To keep yourself from suffering.
If a cell, like say like a cell is like it's not in the proper environment to grow or reproduce or like, you know, split like appropriately, it can just suicide itself as a preservation so that it's not, you know, struggling to survive.
Okay, well let's put it in a moral standpoint for humans using that logic.
I think we call that dying.
Well, that's where I was going to go.
I don't think the cell is suiciding itself. I just think it's in an environment that it can't survive, and it just dies off eventually.
Well, see that's why I'm saying let's put it in a bigger scale for humans, in a sense that I think I'm grasping it for. It's like saying a person who's terminally ill, like stage 4 inoperable cancer. You're going to die in the next 6 months, and it's going to be slow and painful. Suicide would be a preferable exit to suffering through that whole 6 months to the inevitable death anyway. That type of ideal I can get.
Arguably, that's why DNRs exist.
Right, arguably. But I can get behind and understand that reasoning. But most people who attempt suicide or have committed suicide, it's not because they're terminally ill. It's because they were mentally ill in some way, shape, or form, mentally unstable, and felt that there was no other way for them to end their own pain. And their pain, 9 times out of 10, was more
psychological or emotional.
Thank you. Psychological or emotional, rather than physical or life-threatening. They just felt like their world was ending. The world wasn't actually ending for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And
that's why the most important thing you can do is if you have a friend or somebody that you know that's going through a depressive spell or dealing with those kind of emotional burdens, is reach out. Because
look, sometimes it's easier to not talk to a friend. Call a suicide hotline. Hell, down at the bottom of the screen, you see the website, the URL to our website. Contact us. We don't even know you. We'll talk to you.
Hell yeah, I'll get on board with that.
Because talking is a hell of a lot better than the alternative.
Yeah, we're podcasters. All we do is talk.
Thanks for including me into that. Thanks for just volunteering me.
we should totally put a bunch of links to the suicide hotline and
I will
resources in the YouTube video when this goes on YouTube eventually.
Yeah, I will.
Well, they even have in Canada. I don't know if they have it in the U.S., but we have an LGBTQ hotline as well. We even have and that's mostly for like teenagers and stuff who are like, unsure about like their families and their situations, if they come out as bisexual or something. Yeah, we've got all those resources in Canada.
I don't know. I don't know if we have that in the United States, anything for like the LGBTQ, like a hotline for people that are confused or harmed. Or not harmed, but considering self-harm because of not fitting in.
The Trevor Project comes to mind, but I'd have to do a lot more digging to see if I can find like actual resources for that.
Okay, yeah,
but
I'm not sure if the States has anything really set up that intricate for the LGBTQ. You guys got to get a better fucking community name. Too many letters. It's like alphabet soup every time I try to say it.
A lot of my friends that are part of the community agree with that it's a bit of an alphabet soup.
And I feel like I'm being insulting if I just call it the alphabet community. I don't want to be insulting, so it's like, you got to come up with a better like acronym for it or nickname for it in some way, shape, or form. It's just easier to say.
The inclusive society.
Some spaces have been moving toward calling it the queer community.
See, I don't like that.
There are some people that are still resistant to that because they're like, oh, well, queer is a slur. And it's like, I guess, yeah, at one point it was, but if you're adapting it to use it to describe your community, then take pride in it.
But queer as a word did not start out as a slur against gay and lesbian peoples.
Oh no, queer, exactly. It just meant different,
peculiar. And I'm going to steal a joke from Stephen Lynch. We need to take that shit back. I want to be able to use the word queer with impunity again. That's queer. Because it's a fitting word for things of that nature. The problem is some ignorant asshole decided to use the peculiar aspect of it to describe somebody whose son wanted to play with Barbies.
And once again, we come back to the assholes.
You know what I mean? And then this time I'm picking on the straight assholes. I am picking on the opposite end.
Forget money. Assholes are the root of all evil.
It really is. But
what's wrong with the world today, bitches? But that's bitches be everywhere.
That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like the idea of that community using queer as it is, because you're still sexualizing the word instead of using the word in its proper context.
But maybe it just takes a change in a mentality to be like, okay, like the queer community. And it's like, oh, okay, it's like a blanket term for everything. So much easier to remember. I mean, it's a group of inclusion. Why don't we just call it the Society of Inclusion or the Inclusive Society or something? That's
something I more got behind when you said the Inclusive Society or even
Inclusion Society,
or just the Pride community or the Love community. All those would be a hell of a lot more acceptable than the alphabet soup that it is now or the queer society.
Well, hey.
Personally, I mean, what do I know? I'm not in that community, so, but, to me, if I was an outsider looking in, which I am an outsider looking in, that's my 2 cents. And I think you would get a better reception from people like me or especially a lot worse than me.
But didn't they make that title to not just represent themselves, but for people to people that aren't part of the community to be like, okay, yeah, we know who you are, it's more of a title that probably straight cis people would probably use than they would.
Well, the truth of the matter is that a lot of these groups, and I'm going to be lumping some groups together, and I know they don't like to be lumped together, but understand where I'm coming from with this. People like Black Lives Matter, people like the LGBTQ community, all want to preach about inclusiveness. They want to talk about inclusiveness, everybody, equality, equal, feminism, the same thing, equality. But never once do I hear them actually give anything that would be equal or inclusive, because it's always ousting somebody from the community. In the LGBTQ community, it's everybody deserves love and happiness unless you're cisgender straight. Black Lives Matter, everybody's life matters except if you're not one of us. Feminism, everybody should be equal unless you're a white male, in which case you should be fucking licking our boots. You can't have equality if you're not including everybody.
What happened, I know it's so cliche, but we're all human.
Yeah, so there's humanity right there, humanity.
Well, you know what? Some people are now aliens, okay? So here's something, just don't be an asshole.
No, I'm sorry. I
that seems to be the theme of this episode. Don't be an asshole.
It probably is going to be the title of the episode. But I can get behind most what everybody wants to do. Even if I don't necessarily agree with it, I can get behind it. Do whatever makes you happy. But these people that want to identify as aliens, get help. I'm sorry. I can't even be nice about it. Just get help.
Well, I think there's a certain extent that people feel alien and you can't even question it.
No, I'm talking about that one idiot that you've seen all over social media and shit that's got getting his nipples removed and getting his fucking penis removed and the hair lasered off and turning into an actual, well, not actual, but what represents an actual alien.
I've got no issues with that if that's how you want to look.
As long as he ain't hurting nobody.
I'm sorry. That is a mental illness. We're allowing self-mutilation at that point. I'm not talking about changing your physical sexuality, with somebody who's fully transitioning as a transgender person from male to female or vice versa.
Yeah, but
we're talking about just bodily mutilation for the sake of bodily mutilation.
How is getting your nipples and dick and body hair removed any different from other body mods that people get all the time, like piercings or tattoos.
Or we could even go as far as circumcision, because that's a hot topic all over the internet still.
That is not a hot topic.
That is such a hot topic. Well, it's a hot topic because, like, I guess because I look for that stuff, but it is still a hot topic. I shared something, like it was a picture of a bunch of like cartoon drawn penises with the foreskin still on it, and this girl posted that every penis is a snowflake, and like literally, like just off of sharing that post, there was like 5 different pro anti-circumcision women that were like commenting on this and like attacking anyone who commented on it, because how dare you mutilate a body.
Can confirm my wife is a part of like a mommy Facebook group, and circumcision is a topic that comes up a lot.
Okay, well, first off, let me as a circumcised person, let me be one of the first people to tell you straight out. I don't feel any less of a man for losing a 1/4 inch of foreskin. First off. Second off, uncircumcised penises are ugly. Also, if I was a woman or if I was gay, I would not want that in my mouth or in my body.
Also,
okay.
Yeah, but that comes down to personal preference. But the main point that I will
also
point
dirty.
out as a circumcised guy is the prevailing argument I always hear against circumcision from most people is that it's painful, and you shouldn't put the baby through the painful that painful if they can't. If they're not the one making the decision to do that to themselves. And I'm sitting here going, I don't remember that.
I was about to say, everybody's pointing out it's painful. How do you know? Did you feel it?
Well,
you remember that pain?
Too.
I don't.
It is painful, but the kid's not going to remember it.
It's the thing is, like, women are saying this, and then it's like you're the same people that are advocating my body, my choice, and men don't get a right over women's bodies. Why the hell are you advocating over a man's body? First off, it's none of your business. Secondly, calling a mom a pedophile because she got her son circumcised. Let me just point out that you're this kid's mom, and you're refusing to get your kid circumcised, but calling other parents pedophiles. Let me just ask you, do you help your son wash his penis and touch it and show him how it's done, or do you not do this? Because I don't know which one is worse to begin with.
Definitely the not teaching them how. That's definitely worse, because that will result in them probably developing gangrene on the penis and losing it eventually.
Well,
then they don't have any choice.
Can we be completely and blatantly honest in this aspect too? We talk about my body, my choice with like women and abortions and whatever, and then men don't really get a say with circumcisions, but who's taking that choice away? Yes, I know everybody's pointing a finger right now at doctors, but in reality, it's the mothers who make the final decision on circumcision or not.
Well, the parents.
The mother. The mother.
Usually,
you think
the mother will decide.
Do you think I got a choice? Usually, the mother goes
by what the dad is.
I mean,
if the dad's circumcised, we'll get our sons done, because our little boys will grow up like daddy will be teaching them how to pee in the potty and stuff. And if daddy doesn't know how to clean his own penis, then how are you going to teach your son? And women don't have a penis, okay? So for us to sit there and be like, well, honey, you got to pull back the foreskin, it's uncomfortable. It's extremely uncomfortable. And people want to talk about pedophilia and like raping your children because they get circumcised. Imagine how uncomfortable it is for them when their mom's sitting there and she's like, well, no, you got to grab it like this and you got to do that. I mean, what's really worse for the kid at the end of the day?
Well, no, I agree with you, but what I'm saying, and Keith, think back, you just had a newborn, so you know this. Did the doctors come to you and say, hey, do you want your child circumcised? No, they came to the mother.
Oh, they came to both of us. I was standing right there, and then my wife and I talked about it beforehand.
Okay, then fuck you, Lower Bucks Hospital, for not asking me at all for my children.
That just seems to be the hospital's problem.
Yeah, but they asked my ex-wife. They didn't ask me. She made the decision. Of course, my children were circumcised. Yes. Do the doctors want you to be circumcised? Yes. You know why? It's cleaner.
And there are many reasons to circumcise. Like there is a 25% less chance of catching an STD when you're circumcised, and that's statistically significant.
It is. If you say like half of all men will ever catch like gonorrhea or chlamydia in their lives, and now you're going down 25% of that. I mean, that's still for only 40% of men who will ever get that. Even for men's partners, like getting HPV later on in life, like that percentage drops significantly. Like, it's just doing so many more people a favor in the long run that, oh wow, your little boy has to go through this. Well, I got my my newborn done, and my 8-year-old was sitting in the room and they were explaining what was going to happen and stuff. And he's like, Mom, did you do this to me? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And he's like, oh, okay. So I'm coming with you then so I could be there for my little bro. And it was like a rite of passage to him for his little brother to get it done. And he's like, well, thank God I don't remember any of that after they like said all the details and everything. And he's only 8, okay? And he gets it. Like, he understands. And my 10-year-old daughter was like, wow, so men with a circumcised penis are less likely to get me sick. And I'm like, yeah, like that's basically what it is. And she's like, well, then I'm not ever going to be with any man who's not. And I'm like, well, that's your choice. But
well, again,
I feel the need for a PSA here. While it is statistically significant, that is not a replacement for safe sex practices.
No, definitely not.
And understand, one of the biggest arguments that people are making against allowing circumcisions, you know, I'm losing my train of thought here. Give me a second.
You got penis on mind.
Yeah,
we have been running for a little bit, so
yeah, we all of a sudden had to go into the cock. We just couldn't escape the coming to choices is at the end of the day. They're making it out to be like doctors are forcing circumcisions on new parents and their male child. No, doctors still respect patients' choices. If the mother and father, for whatever reason, you just don't want your son to be circumcised, maybe it's a religious thing that you don't want your child circumcised. Doctors still respect that. You can have an uncircumcised child. There is nothing wrong with you turning around and refusing a circumcision. They will come in and recommend it, but they're not forcing it on you.
No, they don't. They asked me actually when I left the hospital if I was planning on getting him circumcised, and I said yes. And they didn't even give me any information on that or whatever. I myself had to call the hospital, book the appointment myself. So they don't force that on people. You actually have to go out and like find the information and the resources to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Wow, our hospital was completely different. Our hospital, they came in, asked us if we were planning on circumcising our son, and when we said yes, they scheduled the appointment for in the hospital. It got done later that day, and after it was done, they came in and gave us the whole rundown of care and cleaning and taking care of it afterward.
Mm-hmm. Which was just rubbing a salve on it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for all you people that want to talk about like pedophilia and shit like that, you can apply the salve with a Q-tip. You never even touched the penis.
Actually, I just had to change some gauze, and that was it, and put Vaseline on a gauze and put it on top.
I wasn't afraid to put the Aquaphor on Joseph manually. He comes from a long line of medical professionals in his family. If he decides to follow in the family business, he's probably going to handle more penises and boobs and vaginas than most people see in their entire lives.
Oh, I'm not saying there's anything against doing that. I'm not one of those people. But all the people that are sitting there saying, "Oh, it's pedophilia, it's child abuse, whatever," you could do it with a Q-tip or like Venus said, with a gauze.
If you think you've seen shit, go talk to a paramedic. I guarantee you, they've seen more shit than you.
Oh, I know.
Can imagine.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is to those naysayers to say, you know, cleaning your child's hoo-hoos and ha-has is pedophilia. Stuff like caring for circumcision can be handled with, like Venus said, Vaseline and gauze, or the salve and a Q-tip.
If putting Aquaphor on your child's penis after they have a circumcision is pedophilia, what do you call giving them a bath?
changing their diapers, wiping their bum.
Well, let's be fair.
They can't do it themselves.
Let's be fair. My daughter, okay, more than my son, my daughter, when she would have a bowel movement in those diapers, that shit got everywhere. To keep her from getting infections and shit like that, you had to dig things out. It's called being a fucking parent.
Yep. And once again, we are right back to the theme of this episode. Don't be an asshole.
Right? Well,
I feel like there should be a special opening for this or a special ending for this episode. Just of the outro is Dennis Leary's asshole playing in the background.
If we wouldn't get a copyright strike, I would totally put it on the end of this.
We got 10 seconds of playtime.
Maybe I can make that happen. Who knows? Maybe that's where I'll put the PSA. All the suicide hotline stuff and everything. It'll flash at the end with asshole playing in the background.
Oh, that's glorious.
'Cause we care.
And then make sure you put all the links in the description so that way they can click on them.
Yeah, right.
You gotta do all the work for everybody these days.
Oh, I know.
We live in the internet age. Instant gratification.
Which means somebody else do it for me. But that's a whole other topic.
One of my favorite websites is Let Me Google That For You. Because you type in your search terms and it gives you a link to post on somebody else's thing, and when they click it, it has a little video that has the mouse cursor go into the search bar, clicks on the search bar, fills in whatever search terms you put in, and hits search, and it takes them to the Google page. It's hilarious.
Well, that's useful.
You, sir, are part of the problem.
It's so passive aggressive, and I love it.
You, sir, are part of the problem.
There was a point in time, people would ask something on the internet, and I would respond with "Let me Google that for you" links, because it's just it takes 5 seconds, guys. You have the whole of all knowledge of the planet available at your fingertips. Frickin' use it.
Yeah.
Guys, just a quick reminder in the world of Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Of course, we have the return of It Had to Be Said with Venus, which also means the return soon, eventually, of Tinfoil Hat Society, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was this an It Had to Be Said episode or a Tinfoil Hat Society episode? We started with Area 51.
Nah, it's had to be said because we were talking about actual things in the news, not just conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Yeah, we touched on them, but not enough.
But also make sure you're checking out all the other great shows at Realm of the Mist Entertainment, including Press A Gaming, which will be having a episode coming up this weekend, talking about the up-and-coming Season 2 to Chronicles of the Lost Realm, presented by Sounds Dicey Gaming and The Lost Realm, which is a subdivision of Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Also, don't forget that going up later today with this video is also War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, where John Mark Tully and Ray Rumsey sit down and start discussing the brand new trailer to Episode 9, Rise of the Skywalker.
Oh, yeah, that trailer was a great one. I'm sure their discussion was awesome. I can't wait to hear that episode. I'm sad I didn't get to participate because I was busy.
I was at work. They recorded at a time I couldn't be involved. I was at work. So, guys, make sure you're checking out all that stuff. I just wanted to make sure we got that in there so everybody knew.
Shameless self-promotion.
Oh, it's shameless, all right. Somebody's got to do it. Your turn, Venus.
Well, yeah, you can find me on Facebook on Venus Chan. You can find me whenever we do another It Had to Be Said episode, Tinfoil Hat episode, or Realm of the Mist episode. We're now on MeWe. most of us, I think. Venus Uncensored, the same as on Instagram, Venus Uncensored. Whoops.
I forgot about
you
MeWe.
Kid. I know, it's not too big, but I mean, it's free, like, censorship free, so it'll take a little while for everyone to move over to that from fucking Nazi Facebook.
I don't know about you guys, but I've never had a problem with censorship on Facebook. But then again, I don't ever really post anything, so that might have something to do with it.
And when you do, it's mostly nerdy, where Venus likes to push the envelope.
Yeah, actually, since having my little, like, fan page, Realm of the Mist presents It Had to Be Said with Venus, I haven't had any censorship problems, actually. I've had these, like, stupid things that come up and be like, we fact-checked this for you, and it's like, listen, Snopes, shut the fuck up and stop commenting on my shit. But, yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, or you can email me at venusuncensored@gmail.com.
And what do you mean when we do it again? Is it going to go back?
Stop fact-checking me. I don't care about the facts. I care about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we just have fun with this shit before you come along with your, we did research for you because Google's inadequate and so is any other information you find.
Oh, something else I want to throw real quick before Keith gives his thing. Venus, you've been gone for a while. The return of Breaking the Fourth Wall podcast, which has revamped itself into a one-on-one interview style podcast where, you know, I sit down with people and just have a conversation and interview. The last one I did was with the guys from White People Shit Podcast, Liam and Dak. They would really love to have you on White People Shit. And I'm saying this on air right now to let you know, so that way they can listen to this episode and hear me tell you, now that you're back, hook up with them. They would really love to do an episode with you.
Yeah, Liam was telling me about that, but Dak was saying, oh, it'll be boring. And I'm just like, ha, 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 joke will be on Dak.
Dak just doesn't want the competition. He's the talent. You would take the spotlight away.
Oh.
He thinks he's the talent. Also, Liam and Dak, that totally counts as our advertisement for this episode.
Silence.
Dead air.
I would love to get them on again. But more episodes. Not just as an interview, but just, you know, sit down bullshit. You know. But yeah, I mean, the long and the short of it is, I just wanted to make sure Venus knew that they are actively asking to do a show with you.
Well, they could just get a hold of me. Liam and I are friends on Facebook, so hit me up.
So, all right, Keith, what about you? Where can they find you and everything?
Obviously, you can find me on Press A Gaming Podcast every other Friday as the host. You can find me on the Chronicles of the Lost Realm playing Billy Knoll, that fucking bard. And I think that's it for now. I don't know if we have anything else coming on the horizon.
I'd like to get the shows all back on track where we're releasing a show a day. But that'll come in time. I mean, babies and people's work schedules. And Chris, let's not forget. Oh, let's talk about that real quick, too. Kristen Stovall, one of our alumni here at Realm of Mist Entertainment, author, released her third book.
Isn't she currently on a book tour?
She is currently on a book tour, and we just want to wish her well and much success in completing her trilogy. And
also, buy her books.
Buy her book, and let's not forget that all her books are now released on hardback format, so you can actually get the hardback copies of the books now. So make sure you go on Amazon or go hit up the Song of Souls trilogy Facebook page to be able to order your copies today.
You should also put the links of that in the description of the YouTube video.
I will. Why don't you Google that for me?
Now, it's that exact kind of passive aggressiveness that gets snark out of me.
Yeah. We're taking over Venus's show here. We gotta stop doing that.
It's the end of the show. It doesn't matter.
No, that's okay. I've got.
She did her bit in the beginning when she introduced everything. That we can take over now. It's fine.
Actually, with the way she's like, that's okay, it's fine. I get the impression she checked out from this conversation a while ago.
No, like as we're talking, like my 8-year-old comes up to me with one of his squishy toys, and he's like, "Mom, look at this!" And there's like a hole in the bottom, and he's squishing it. It looks like a butthole opening and closing. So I'm like, "Good Lord." I'm just done with the day. I need dinner now.
Well, then why don't we go ahead and end this episode, and we will catch you guys on the next It Had to Be Said featuring Venus.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye.